Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time and this week's stitch is number 142, Cross Your Stitches. Now this stitch pattern has so many varieties. This one is a double crochet row with a half double crochet cross stitch. And what I like so much about this variation is when you look, you're going to see that these little loops here from the half double crochet just create a beautiful texture on your work. Isn't that pretty? Now I have seen this done with double crochet and single crochet cross stitches. I have seen this done with double crochets and then double crochet cross stitches. You can do it with single crochet and single crochet cross stitches. So many different varieties, but this is such a quick stitch pattern for this one because you're using the double crochet and then you're using the half double crochet for that beautiful texture on your work. So this is my first sample and I was having so much fun with this pattern. I made 4 samples today. So the first sample, this is the front where you're going to see that little bit of texture, and when you turn it over on the back, it's going to be more of a flat surface. So it does look different on the back. Again, that's the back. And when you turn it over, you're going to see that beautiful texture from those half double crochets. So my first sample was made using Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. I love ombre colors, and this is the color Violet. So this is what the yarn looks like, and you can just see a little bit of that gradient effect. So that's my first sample. My second sample, I was playing around with that new yarn that I got from Hirschner's, the Hirschner's Worsted Celebrate Sparkle. I love this yarn. I thought it would be pretty for a baby blanket. This is color Pastel Parade, color 4003. You can find this on Hirschner's. And this is what it looked like in this small sample. Now, with yarns like this, where they have a certain color pattern and length for the colors, I'm going to have to play around with this because I'm not sure if I would like this stitch pattern done with this yarn just because of the way the colors change in the rows. So this yarn I would have to play around with. But then you have to remember, if you're making a baby blanket, this would be a longer stripe, so I may like it. I just have to play around with it. But this is the front and you can see that beautiful texture. And then this is the back. And you can see how smooth it is on the back and then the texture on the front. So that's my second sample. My third sample, I always like to do the white sample because I think it has such a classic look. This is the front, and when you turn it over, this is the back. So again, the back is smooth and the front has the texture. And you can just see how pretty that white sample looks worked up. Now my white sample was made using Premier Basics. I love Premier yarns. I use their yarns in so many of my items that I crochet. This is a very affordable value yarn, and I just use the color white, color 1115-01. And then my last sample, I thought I'm going to show you what it looks like if you change colors every row. If you do your double crochet in one color and your cross stitches in another color, look how pretty. Look at that texture. Just a wonderful stitch pattern, and this works up so quickly. Now this one was made using a size 10J or 6mm hook. The other samples were made using a smaller size I9 hook, so it does have a little bit different look when you use that bigger hook. It has a little more open look to it. That's the front, and when you turn it over, that's the back. And for this sample, I used the Premier Basics in white, Premier Basics in pink, Premier Basics in lemon, and then Premier Basics in aqua. And if you want to get your own Premier yarn, I'll have a link directly to the Premier Basics in the description box. It comes in that large 7-ounce skein, very affordable and wonderful soft acrylic. So now let's get into the stitch pattern. So this stitch pattern is a multiple of any even number. So you're going to chain 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. As long as it's an even number, your pattern will work out. So for today's crochet tutorial, I'm going to be using the Premier Basics in the color Aqua. I'm also going to be using a size I9 or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. So grab your yarn, grab your hook, and let's get this stitch pattern started. I have my yarn attached to my hook and I just used a double knot. You can join your yarn to your hook using whichever method you prefer. Now I want to remind everyone all my crochet tutorials are filmed using USA crochet terms. So for this stitch pattern you want to use any even number. So I'm going to chain 14. It's such an easy stitch pattern. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop. That creates your first chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So we have our chain of 14 chains, and now we're ready to begin row 1. Row 1 is a simple double crochet row. You're going to skip the first 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and into that 4th chain we're going to work a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the 4th chain, yarn over, pull through that chain. You have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. You just made a double crochet. The 3 skip chains that you skipped will count as the first double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain, and then you're just going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch across. So let's go ahead and work 1 double crochet in each chain across until we get to the very end of our chain. So I'm just going to go ahead and work right across the row with you. Now if you wish, you can start by working in the back bump of each chain if you like that finished look. So you can either go in the chain or go into that back bump of each chain. Now for video purposes, I'm just going into the chain. So I have 1 chain to go, and then into the last chain, work your double crochet. So when you look at your work, you're going to have a total of 12 stitches. The beginning chain 3 counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you're working on a larger project, whatever your chain is, you're going to have 2 less stitches due to this beginning skip chain. So if you chain 100, you're going to have 98 stitches. We chained 14, we have 12 stitches. So now we're ready to begin row 2. Now row 2 and row 3 will be your repeat rows for the pattern. So let's go ahead and begin row 2. For row 2, you're going to chain 2 and you're going to turn your work. This beginning chain 2 counts as the first half double crochet and counts as the first stitch of the row. So now we're going to work a half double crochet cross stitch across to within the last stitch. So let's begin our repeat. You're going to yarn over, skip the next stitch, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through. You have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That is the first half of your cross stitch. You're going to yarn over, bring your hook to the front of your work, and you're going to go into that previously skipped stitch, going under the top 2 loops, insert from front to back, yarn over, pull back through, and you want to pull up so this strand of yarn crosses over the one you previously made. You have 3 loops, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Let's do the repeat again. Now when you're doing this stitch, remember you already worked in this one, so this last stitch crosses over. So make sure you're looking. You worked in that stitch. You're going to skip the next stitch, yarn over and insert into the next stitch. Work your half double crochet. Yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, bring your hook to the front, insert under the top 2 loops of that previously skipped stitch. Yarn over, pull back through, and then pull up. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Your crossed half double crochet is made. So let's go ahead and work it across until you get to your last ending turning chain. You're going to skip this next stitch. You already worked in this one. You're skipping the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch. Then yarn over, bring your hook to the front of your work, insert into the previously skipped stitch, yarn over, pull back through, pull up, make that come across, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Your half double crochet cross stitch is made. We have 2 to go. Skip the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch. Then half double crochet into the previously skipped stitch, pulling that loop up and across that previously made stitch, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So we have 1 more to go. Yarn over, skip the next stitch, insert into the next stitch, going under the top 2 loops, work a half double crochet. Yarn over, bring your hook back to the front of your work, insert from front to back through that previously skipped stitch, yarn over, pull back through and pull up so that strand comes across that stitch, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So now when you get to the end of the row, you're going to have your turning chain. So you're going to count up 1, 2, 3 right into the top chain, work a half double crochet. Now if you're new to crocheting, I suggest you put a stitch marker in the last stitch you just made and come back and put a stitch marker in the top of this beginning chain 2, right into this top chain. Because if you're going to make a mistake, it's going to be when you repeat row 3 at the end of row 3. So I'll point that out when we start the next row. So put your stitch markers in and let's begin row 3. For row 3, you're going to chain 3 and you're going to turn your work. Your beginning chain 3 counts as the first stitch. So then you're going to start into the very next stitch. Again, this is the first stitch. So you have to remember, just follow it down, and this stitch is already worked because your chain 3 is in it. So you're going to come over to the next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going under the top 2 loops and working that stitch. Double crochet into the next stitch. Make sure you're turning your work towards you and you're going into the top 2 loops and not the side loops. Make sure you turn that work all the way towards you, insert under the top 2 loops, work your double crochet. And when you look at your work, this strand of yarn here is what forms that texture on your stitch. Double crochet into the next stitch, again turn it towards you and go under those top 2 loops, work your double crochet. And now I'm just going to work my double crochet in each stitch across to the turning chain. So now we're getting over to the end of the row, and this is where you're going to make a mistake. If you're new to crocheting, you really have to pay attention to where the top of your turning chain is and where the end of the stitch is. Because again, this looks like it's the top of the chain and it's not. This is the last stitch. So I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. And then if you're not sure, you can always turn your work and then you're going to see this is the last actual stitch, and then you have your turning chain. So I'm going to turn it back over, and this is where, if you have a stitch marker, you're going to know that this is the top of your turning chain if you have that stitch marker in it. So you're going to know you have one more stitch. So double crochet into that next stitch, and then double crochet into the top of that turning chain. Count up 1, 2, insert your hook into the top of that chain, work your double crochet. And then you can see how your pattern is forming with that half double crochet cross stitch. Just that little fine strand on that stitch creates a beautiful textured pattern. Now this stitch pattern has so many varieties and so many different names. I just called it the crochet stitches. So to continue working on your pattern, you're going to repeat row 2 and row 3 over and over until you get the pattern to the length you want. So again, to continue working on your sample, click back on the video and repeat row 2 and row 3 until you get your sample to the length you want. I just think it has a gorgeous look. You can get so creative with this stitch pattern. And if you want something just a little bit different than the regular double crochet, this is the perfect pattern because you're getting the speed and the quickness of a double crochet, and you're getting that beautiful texture from the half double crochet cross stitch. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here on Creative Grandma's channel. I just think you have so many possibilities, whether you use an ombre or a special striped yarn or just a plain white, or even change colors every row. It's all up to you. And I think these videos, I love to do the samples because it really does show you the difference a yarn can make and how a pattern stitch looks. So until next time, stay inspired and happy crocheting, everyone. Bye.